Welcome back to the City Current Show. I'm your host, Jeremy Park. We're always honored to bring you inspiring stories of individuals and organizations making a difference and powering the good. And we love talking about the power of football to transform the lives of youth in our community. We're honored to be joined by Nyrone Hawkins. He is the Executive Director of Memphis Gridiron Ministries. Nyrone, how are you doing?
I'm doing great.
So let's talk about Memphis Gridiron Ministries, the power of what you're doing, but let's start with a little bit of history lesson because you're celebrating a big anniversary coming up. So give us some history.
So we actually started 9 years ago. So we're finishing out our ninth year, and we're excited about where we are and what we're doing going into our 10th year. And we had board members who actually had children who were playing football at PDS, and once their children aged out, they had a desire to keep coaching and to stay involved. And Wade, who is our board chair, Wade West, he was like, look, we can't uphold the Christian values and say we love Christ if we're not doing the things that the Bible teaches us. It says, how can we say I love my neighbor when I don't know my neighbor? So they made a calculated decision to bring football in the gospel to Binghampton. And that was 9 years ago. And even with COVID and everything that we've been through the last 2 years, we're still thriving. We're still doing great things. So in our ninth year, we have two full teams out. Our first game is Saturday, September the 10th for both teams at our home field, which is next to the police precinct, which is it's kind of ironic because we had the colonel out, Colonel Vincent out, and he said that his housing project, the apartments that he grew in were on the football field. So he went from living on the field that we played in to running the precinct that's in the neighborhood. So that's just a glimpse of some of the history and some of the things that we are proud about over our last 9 years. Will it be 10 years next year?
Yeah. Talk about how it works in terms of the timing, the practices, the games, the season. Give us the details.
So, what we are actually, with my arrival, we're actually going to a year-round program. We just don't want to effectuate kids for the months of August to November, and then you lose them. So we'll do stuff year-round. I'm talking about we'll take kids places in Memphis that they've never been. You can't tell a kid that they can go to college, and the University of Memphis is a mile and a half away, and they've never been to the university. So effectively, we're going to have our kids on the University of Memphis campus. I'm a proud alumni, but we're not going to stop there. We're going to go to Lamont On. We're going to go to Christian Brothers. We're going to go to Rose. We're going to put them in a situation to show them that so they have the ability to dream and they know what they're dreaming about. Just to be able to get them on campus, to be able to go downtown, to go on field trips, to do stuff that's not centered around football, but is centered around the most important stuff that's to us, and that's Christ, the gospel, and fellowship. We're trying to create a community within the community with our young people so they have a safe haven, they have a safe space, and they feel like they can be nurtured and grow and feel comfortable being who they are.
Talk about the age ranges, the number of youth served.
So we serve several youth. So our teams are 7, 8, and 9, 10, 11, and 12. So we have two different teams. So we have about 25 young people on each team. And trust me, Jeremy, getting to 25 was a great task for this year after being without football, but without tackle football for 2 years because of COVID. They played flag football last year, and flag football is not tackle. So we had to go and recruit all of our kids from the community again and get them excited about the process. And that's what I'm excited about. About 85% of our kids come from the Binghampton area because that's our mission field. We're very missional about what we do. We're not trying to save or effectuate every kid in the city of Memphis. We're going to affect those kids who are within the proximity of Binghampton and in the surrounding communities who God will allow to be in our presence. So with that, we're diverse as well because we have kids who are not from Binghampton, who are Caucasian. We have kids who are not from Binghampton, who are from middle class, upper middle class families. But we all come together just like the gospel and become one melting pot of people who just want to learn about the gospel, play football, and build great friendships.
Talk about the power of football, because you on your end, you're talking about obviously relationship building, respect. Talk about character development and some of the skills that you learn playing football, being around a team, and obviously with being faith-based.
We start off, we have 5 Christian core values. So those are the things that we hang our hat on, and they're self-control. So self-control, we resist the temptation to avoid things and conform to the will of God. Faith, we affirm that God is who he is. Perseverance. In any sports, you're going to have to learn how to persevere. And what we teach our young people, and we put this down on their level, perseverance is never giving up. Not quitting. Integrity is our 4th core value. And integrity is, what do you do when nobody's watching? How do you conduct yourself when nobody's watching? And the last one is respect, not just respect for the values that we have, respect for others, respect for yourself. We had a scrimmage against St. Benedict's on Tuesday, and the big thing was you go, you respect their field, you respect the practice, you respect your opponent. Because if you look at somebody and say, oh, this is going to be easy, and you'll have respect for them, then things turn out a little different. And Jeremy, I tell you, I have really been blessed because football has meant so much to me, playing at the University of Memphis, being in the University of Memphis Hall of Fame, not because of my football accolades, because I broke my ankle early in my career and never played, but being the award winner and being in the Hall of Fame for the things that I do outside of the community. I tell you a quick story. We have a young guy named Q, whose stepfather brought him to our practice like the second week of practice. And he said, Nyrone, I just want you to know he's on the autism spectrum. And, I don't know if I was like, look, this is a great place for him. I said, we're not an advanced football team. We don't have college ready or even middle school ready players. Everybody's going to be learning at the same level, and this is going to be a good environment for him. Well, being on the autism spectrum, one of the cute things is he doesn't do a lot of talking. His communication is like, he listens, he understands, he can do all of that. So the coaches said, hey, Nyrone, we're going to come up with some color-coded stuff for Q. So when we say red, he'll know what to do, green. But that's not the great part. The great part is the second week of practice, his mom brought him to practice. And she said, I just had to come out here because this boy has not stopped talking since he came to football practice. He talking about the friends that he has. He talking about that he can't believe that he's playing football. And I was like, well, that's great to hear because Q rarely ever speaks. So from that, it lets me know that we give him a safe place to be involved in activities, to build relationships where he would be shunned and looked over and set aside. He now has a tribe. He now has a family. And it's like it's like what akin to what Jesus said. He said he came for everybody. So he wished that none would be left out. So we're just excited by the fact that Q is not going to be left out of what's going on, that he's going to grow, he's going to have friends, and he's going to be able to continue to develop and play football.
The other thing that's cool about that is you're including the whole family. And I think that's another unique aspect about what you're doing. So talk about including the whole family.
And that's the thing. One of the things that I'm a big 20 years in the nonprofit industry, we spend money, time, talent, and resources on young people. If you're asking for money to help save young people, people will write you a check or do what they can to help. But a lot of times we stop at that young person and what we have to do. And we send young people back to dysfunctional households, or we send them back to chaotic living. And I'm just a firm believer is if we're working with parents as well as the youth, then guess what? The transition becomes greater. That's why we're a year-round program. We've partnered with the United Way of the Mid-South, with Dr. Robinson, with their Drive the Dream program, where whatever a problem our parents can have, we can fill out a referral, we can send it to Drive a Dream. Is it for job placement? If it's for money management? Is it for I want to go to school? If I have drugs, whatever the problem is, with their community involvement, they're able to send resources and put our parents in the right direction. And that's what we want to be. We want our young people to grow and understand who Christ is, but more importantly, we want the families to grow as a whole so they can grow together and they can build a strong foundation. So when that child, that young man ages out of our program, they have a foundation that they can stand on that's true and solid. And it's not just their foundation, it's a household foundation.
I know that something that you put out there is inviting the community to come out and support the youth, watching the games, cheering them on, which makes a big statement. Talk about ways the community can support your efforts.
You can come out. Since we're in the season now, we practice 2 days a week. So we practice on Tuesdays and Thursdays. You can come out. You can go to our Facebook page, which is Memphis Gridiron Ministries, and our schedule will be up, home and away games. You can come to a game. You can always volunteer your time, your service, your talents. Volunteering could mean anything. You could just come out there on a practice day and help set up the field for practice. Just finding simple ways to give back. I know people always say, "Oh, write a check," or give some money. But I'm really a proponent of that time is just as valuable as money. And I understand that time can lead to money. So if you can come out and just see what we're doing, see the impact these kids are making, and imagine it's going to be the first game in Binghampton in 2 years on September the 10th. So it's going to be a great affair. We have both of our teams are playing. So we start at 9 o'clock and 10:30. So it's just going to be a great opportunity. And the last thing I say you can always do, you can always pray for us. The Bible is clear when it said the harvest is plentiful, but the laborers are few. So if you can't come out, if you can't do anything else, you can pray that the Lord of the harvest will show up and we'll be able to supply these kids with what they need spiritually, emotionally, and to help them out on the academic level as well.
You mentioned transitioning from a seasonal program to a year-round program. What are some of the other visions for the future?
Well, one big vision right now that we're going to get next year is including females. Oftentimes, especially with football, they're left out. I've had several girls say, "We want to be cheerleaders, we want to do that." So it gives me a whole year to put that in place. So we'll have cheerleaders, and it'll do the same thing. It'll provide us opportunity to share the gospel, provide a safe place for those young ladies, and help them build a sense of community as well. But one of the things that after the season and even during the season, academics is very important to what we do. So being able to have after school programs where we're working with kids specifically. So what I do, as opposed to just running the program, I spend 2 hours a day, 1 day a week in each of the 3 elementary schools and middle schools in the system. So I'm at Brewster Elementary, I'm at Leicester, and I am also at the neighborhood Christian Academy. So I'm building relationships with those students. I'm building relationships with the faculty. So I'll know about any issues that are going on at school, which will lead me to know about issues that are going on at home, which gives me the opportunity to connect and get those things done, even outside of football season or when we're in football season.
What is something that makes you hopeful when you look at the trajectory for the youth, the players, the volunteers coming together, building the relationships, seeing the character development? What makes you excited about the future for Memphis Gridiron Ministries, but ultimately what it means for our community?
I would say just the fact that I text our coaches the other day. Because sometimes they were a little down. You have to understand, they give up their time, talents to come to practice, and they were a little down about the number of kids that were at practice. And I told them, I said, "You've already won." I said, "You get 85% of the kids to leave the environment that they're in to come to practice. to hang out. I say they don't do that because at this age they don't love football. They do that because you've presented an environment that's conducive for them to grow, for them to be safe, and for them to be themselves. So if we're consistent with what we're doing, guess what? They're going to go out and tell other people about this great environment that they're in. And other kids are going to go want to come and be a part of that environment. So that's the exciting part for me. Every time I see enough kids that come to practice that we can have a legitimate practice. When I see that we have 19 or 20 kids there for both teams, I'm excited because I know that means that they value what we're offering them. They value building a relationship with Christ. They value the opportunity to try to learn something that could possibly help them through their life and through their career. I'm here at Memphis because I had the opportunity to play football in Montgomery, Alabama, and Memphis State thought I was good enough to have a full scholarship to come up here. So I know where football and the gospel and family can take you. And that's what I'm excited about, that we'll be able to share the gospel, we'll be able to share football, and we'll be able to help build strong families.
I love it. Wrap up with website, contact information. You mentioned the Facebook page, but where do we go to learn more about Memphis Gridiron Ministries?
Well, you can go to Memphis Gridiron Ministries.org is our website. Our Facebook page is the same, Memphis Gridiron Ministries, as well as our Twitter and our Instagram account are all Memphis Gridiron Ministries. And if you're in the Binghampton neighborhood on Tuesdays and Thursdays from 5:30 to 7, we're located in between the Family Dollar and actually the Binghampton precinct, police precinct. You know, we have a field there, clock, scoreboard, so we're there practicing. If you just want to stop by and see some of the work that the Lord is doing in Binghampton, Tuesdays and Thursdays will be a good day to stop by and see what we're doing and how we're affecting lives. And you'll love it because we get about 85% of our parents who come to practice, who stay, and they get to see it live and get to see us working with their kids. So that's another blessing point for me.
Absolutely. Well, Nyrone, thank you for all you and your amazing team do. Thank you for coming on the show.
Thank you for having us. We're excited. And it's all about the hemp, baby. It's all about the hemp. We're bringing good smoke back to Binghampton again. We're excited about having people, kids, the community, and everybody out to just watch these young people do what they've been working so hard to be able to do.